Rania is a journalist and with the Journalist Syndicate Union in Palestine. She has offered to speak here about her struggle. So welcome, Rania.
For Palestine and for Palestinian journalists. The Palestinian Journalist Syndicate is concerned and protection of our we try to make different services to journalists. The 7th of October.
What happened after the 7th of October?
Today, the score is 124 journalists and media workers have been killed. 16 women journalists have been killed among this number. We have 65 journalists behind bars. They are arrested. And we have dozens of journalists who have been wounded. And we have almost 1,500 journalists in Gaza are displaced, are living in tents, schools, and refugee centers with very hard conditions.
And I understand that they've also targeted journalists' families.
Yes, that's correct. Journalists are not only targeted by themselves, their families are targeted, children, parents, spouses. So they go to work and they come back, they find their families are targeted, they find that they lose their families. Many women journalists take their children with them to the field because they don't feel it safe to leave them at home and go to cover the news. So they take them to dangerous work locations because they believe it's safer than leaving them at home.
And maybe you can talk about some of the journalists who have been killed, who they are, their names, their families.
Yes, as I told you, we have a list of 124 journalists. Some of them have been killed in their houses, bombed by airstrikes. Others have been targeted directly by, for example, drones that target their cars. Some of them are targeted by snipers personally, sometimes during coverage or sometimes during the movement.
And maybe you can talk about Shireen Abu Akay and what happened to her, who she is, and that investigation, supposed investigation. She's an American Palestinian citizen. Who is she and what happened to her?
Yes, Shireen Abu Akay, she's Al Jazeera correspondent. She's a Palestinian journalist icon. She has been working with Al Jazeera for 20 years, even more. And she last year, in 2022, in May, she went to cover the invasion of Jenin camp, refugee camp. And when she arrived at the location, she was killed by a sniper who targeted her with a bullet. The bullet targeted her head directly. And it killed her on spot. The IDF tried to show that she was not targeted. They wanted to kill other resistant men and so on. But nobody was killed but her at that incident. She was clearly targeted. And the PJS, in cooperation with the IFJ, International Federation of Journalists, and the NUJ, the Journalist Union in the UK and Oakland, we filed a complaint at the ICC, International Criminal Court, but until now we are faced with silence.
And is there any difference between the treatment of journalists in the West Bank and in Gaza?
Well, they are all facing a lot of violations. In Gaza, it's more because it's a level of killing. In the West Bank, the violations are different, but they are also dangerous. As I told you, there is a very big arresting campaign against journalists. So I told you 65 journalists are behind bars now. And they are usually sentenced with administrative detention, which means with no accusation. It's just like a security detention. Also, the journalists covering the field, they are facing very dangerous because they are subject to bullets, to being targeted by snipers. Sometimes they are targeted by cars of settlers and or by the IDF. They try to run over them. Of course, as I told you, many times their equipments are confiscated, or sometimes they are destroyed. The equipments that they use, their cars are targeted as well. And I should always add that the incitement that they have a lot of incitements against them by Israeli journalists, by the IDF, even the Israeli government, by settlers. So they receive a lot of threats, and they live a very hard incitement.
So the Israeli Journalist Union, are they at all supporting Palestinian journalists, or they support the IDF murders?
We don't know. They are with their government, of course. We never hear that they are against the genocide that is taking place against the journalists in Gaza. We never heard any position by them.
And what can journalists and other people in the United States do to support your struggle and to demand the release of jailed journalists?
We always call. We need to make campaigns. We need to call for them to be free. We need to lobby for this administrative detention that is used by Israeli government and courts, which is illegal. It's only in Palestine. You don't find this kind of detention all over the world, but in Palestine, because it has no reason for being sentenced. And it's always renewable. It starts with 4 to 6 months, but it would reach 20 years of renewing of such administrative detention.
So how long have Palestinian journalists been in jail?
One of our journalists, his name is Shireen Abu Akay, his administrative detention is renewed for the 20th